Welcome to 30 Gap. My name is Nick Wilkins. This is my son Jackson Wilkins. 30 Gap comes from the fact that we're 30 years apart. We're going to discuss the difference between my generation's thoughts and his. And the first two topics are going to be related to NBA and what they like to do in their leisure time. So the first one is the Jaylen Brown and the Paul George trade. So first of all, I would like to set money aside in this situation and talk about how the Celtics made a trade based on what we think is best for the team. So the Celtics made a trade because Jaylen Brown made comments of this is the best season ever when Tatum was not involved. We're huge Celtics fans, as most people know. And so I do think it's going to be, and in the end, it's going to be a good trade for the Celtics. I think that while the money is different, it's very similar. We have 1 year less in the contract with Paul George that we did Jaylen Brown. And probably we saw the best version of Jaylen Brown last year. So we're going to get rid of him before maybe the negative side of him shows. And I think it's going to be okay. But I do want to see where we're going to land from that standpoint.
I think the Celtics made the trade because Jaylen Brown was taking shots away from Jason Tatum, and getting Paul George is going to help that because Paul George is a good defender and a good passer. And I think it's going to help the Celtics moving forward, and I think it was a little bad for the Celtics because they're making the Sixers a title contenders. But then they have way too many players that want to shoot the ball.
So I don't disagree. So what I would ask you this is, so if that's the case, where we're making Sixers the contender, or maybe we're taking a step back, where would you grade the trade from like an A to an F standpoint? Where would you grade the trade, and what would you maybe do differently if you were the Celtics?
So no grade for the Sixers?
Yep, grade both. And then what would you grade what would you do different for both teams if you had to?
I would grade a C plus for the Celtics because getting rid of Jaylen Brown can be good and bad in some ways. And I would give the 76ers a B because they got Jaylen Brown, but now they have way too many players who want to shoot the ball and don't want to pass.
I don't disagree with that. I think that's a good assessment of that. So where I would put it is, I would grade. It's kind of hard to grade it right now because we don't know where it's going to land. But what I would say this is, the Celtics could potentially have a better grade in the long run because Paul George can knock down threes, and what do we need from everybody who joins the Celtics to knock down threes, right?
Yeah.
I do agree with you in the Celtics, or the 76ers, where there's not enough balls to go around. So now you've got a guy that averaged 30 points a game, Maxey averaged 30 points a game, Embiid averaged 27 points a game. Now you have LeBron, who averaged 18 points a game, but still wants to be the man, all on the same team. So I think as far as upside goes, I'd give the Celtics a B plus, and I would give the Sixers a C as far as where they might be graded at the end of the year. So my question to you is this: could the Celtics have made a better trade when it came to getting rid of Jaylen Brown?
Yeah, I think the Celtics could have made a trade for Giannis, which would have been way better for the long run and for just the whole team because Tatum and Giannis they would pass the ball to each other, and Giannis wouldn't take shots away like Jaylen Brown was doing. And Giannis wanted to be in Boston.
So who would you have been willing to give up for role players in Boston to get Giannis? Because it sounds like, from what we've been told, the management was not willing to give up Hugo and as well as Baylor Shireman. So would you be willing to give up those two players? And if not, who would you have added to it to get Giannis?
I would have given up both those players, especially Hugo, because he didn't get any playing time in the playoffs last year, and Baylor Shireman all he was doing was shooting and getting some rebounds, like 2 rebounds a game, and not playing much. So I don't get why they still wanted to keep them.
I agree. I'm a huge Chucks fan, as we all know, like me and you both are. I agree that I'm not sure why we were so hard on keeping Baylor or hard on keeping Hugo. I think last year, I loved Hugo. I wish he would have played more. He didn't, which is fine. But if you're willing to give up, if you're willing to not play him in a season and then not give him up for Giannis, it seems strange in that sense. So I'm with you. I think Giannis was the man to go get. Not a huge Giannis fan, but I think he would have made the Celtics great. I think we made a mistake not going after him, but you know what? We'll see what happens in this season, right? So, last question on this topic. So, do you believe that either the Sixers or the Celtics will make another trade before the season starts or before the trade deadline? Or do you think they're both contenders right now?
I think the Sixers will be contenders for 1 year, maybe this year, and then once they're paying their players a lot of money to be there, and LeBron will probably be gone next year, and I think the Celtics need to make a move to get a better center than they have right now, because the only center we have is Neemias Queta.
Yep. I like it. So I think the Celtics should make a move. I think the Sixers, in all reality, I think that there's not enough balls to go around, like I said earlier, so I don't think the Sixers are a contender. I think the West is always going to be tough. I think the West is the team, like, no matter who comes out of the West, whether it's the Spurs or the Thunder, I think they're the team to beat. But I do think that the Celtics can make a move. I'm not sure what that is yet. I think we need to increase what our backcourt is, our front court is with Queta. I think we need a starting center, like you said, that will help that out. I think Paul George as a knockdown three-point shooter would be great. But I do think we need to improve that side of it for us to be a contender. So I agree with you. All right, love it. So let's go on to the next thing. So the next topic for this episode is related, kind of, to a trade, right? So my generation, being 40 plus years old, we rode manual bicycles, so we used our legs. Your generation, being 30 years younger, you guys love electric scooters. So, first question is, why are kids using electric scooters today rather than manual bicycles? What do you think?
I think some kids are using them and some parents are buying them because if kids are going on short trips, it's easier to get there with a scooter because you won't get sweaty or tired. And if you're going from if you had sports before and you needed to go somewhere, you could take the scooter and you wouldn't get even more tired if you had more games the next day.
Okay. Well, you're gonna hate my answer. So my answer is you're all lazy. That's my answer, right? So I'm gonna tell you right now, I think the reason electric scooters have become so prevalent in today's society with kids your age, you're all lazy.
I don't agree.
I know you don't agree. You're all lazy. You don't want to work hard. You don't want to do anything. You just want to get on a scooter and ride, right? So when you got on a bike, you had to pedal. So to go to practice, you had to pedal to get there. So tell me why, other than you guys are all lazy, the electric scooter's better.
The electric scooter's better. You can get to places quicker.
Okay.
And if you're going somewhere if you're going 5 minutes away, you would get there quicker because you would start to get tired while you're on the bike.
Okay.
And if you don't want to get sweaty that day, the scooter would be perfect because you wouldn't have to do anything to get the scooter moving.
Okay, so that is a good topic. It like leads us to the next question. So like, what is better for kids in terms of health and everything else? Manual bicycles, which I grew up in clearly, or your electric scooters. What's better for kids?
Probably manual bikes. They're safer than
Yep.
scooters. You get more exercise with than scooters, and they're just easier to take places.
I appreciate you coming back to my side. I like that. So, when you say they're safer, let's talk about safer. Like, because I agree. Like, I think they're safer too as well. But why are they safer? Like, so what? So you've ridden a manual bicycle before, and you've also ridden an electric scooter. Like, what makes them safer? Like, what would that be for parents that are listening to this? What would make that better for kids? The manual bicycle.
The manual bicycle has bigger tires, which
Okay.
means more control.
Okay.
And if you were to hit a big bump with a bike, you wouldn't flip or
Okay.
do anything. And with the little wheels on a scooter, you would probably fall.
Okay. And what about, so like, I know I've seen several kids like put two people on one electric scooter, and then, but most of the time you'll see bicycles with two people, sometimes, but not a lot. Like, is that something that like you guys do that doesn't, it's probably not very safe from that
Yeah.
standpoint? Yeah.
You probably shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like, and you probably should always wear a helmet.
Yep. A lot of kids don't wear helmets. Yep, I agree.
That's why more kids wear helmets on bikes than they do scooters.
Yep. So, with all that being said, what do you believe is the next thing that is going to come out, right? So we went from like manual bicycles to electric scooters, and then we've seen the electric bicycles, obviously. What do you think, like if you had to like predict something, what's the next thing to come?
For something you can ride around.
Yep, for kids. For let's say you're 20 years older from now. What's the next generation, right? Like what are your kids going to be riding or doing or whatever from that standpoint?
Probably be kind of the same. Just like scooters that are more, like, probably safer.
Yeah.
Like with
That's
bigger.
good, right?
Yeah, with probably, I don't know.
You don't know?
Mm-mm.
You got any guesses?
They might make bigger e-bikes
Yeah.
that will, like with mountain tires.
Right. So here's my fear of this, right? So like, I grew up in manual bicycles. Like, I've ridden your scooter. It doesn't go well for me. I feel like I'm gonna wreck. Not great. I agree with you. Helmets should be necessary. You should wear helmets. Kids should wear helmets, right? And I think you would agree. You see a lot of kids that don't wear helmets, right? Yeah. So like, that's not safe. We need to like figure out something that's safe. Here's my fear. My fear is the next thing for kids. So there are now cars these days that drive themselves, right? You know that?
Yeah.
Right? You get in the car, you push a button, no driver, it just goes right. My fear is the next thing is electric scooters for kids, where you guys can put in an address and it goes, and all you have to do is hold on to the handles. The problem is, what happens when you get distracted by a squirrel and you don't hold on the handle? You wreck, right? It's my biggest fear.
Or like you can't stop.
Or you can't stop, right? Like, now in theory, the AI will stop for you, right? But you just never know. So that's my biggest fear. Okay. So I got one last question for you. If you had, and I know you're young, I get it, but if you had kids today, right? So like, put yourself 30 years down the road, 20 years down the road, 10 years down the road, whatever it is. You had kids today. Where should society go from here? Like, what's the next thing? Should society go and like embrace AI and embrace electronics and say, I'm okay with my kid putting in an address and letting the AI take them where they need to be? Or should we go back to manual bikes?
it'd probably be easier with the scooter, but it would be way safer on the bike.
Okay.
So I'd probably say bikes,
Bike.
and parents would feel probably way more safe on the bike.
You know what? I agree. So the problem is I don't think we're going away from all the technology, right? Like I agree with you, but I think parents would feel safer on the bike. I think parents would feel they would know where their kids are. They wouldn't need, right? Like
Yeah.
when you have a computer controlling where your kids are going, I think that's a little scary for
Yeah.
parents. So I agree. So I think so. Like in wrapping all this up, like if we go back to the Jaylen Brown trade, I want to ask you a question. Are you in favor, as a Celtics fan, are you in favor of the Jaylen Brown trade, or are you against it?
I like it because Jaylen Brown was not passing Jason Tatum the ball enough, I didn't think.
So I would say I'm in favor of it as well. I think Jaylen Brown's comment of like his favorite year was when we didn't win the title and when he was like the ball hog, if you will. I think that's a good.
I
point.
think he shot way too many times a game.
I agree, and I think the Sixers are not going to have enough balls to go around. So I agree with you. And then the final thing is, all right, here we go. When you have kids 20 years from now, are you going to buy them first a manual bike, or are you going to buy them an electric scooter?
A manual bike, because I think it's good to learn how to ride a bike.
You're gonna sit here and tell me right now, with all the electric stuff that you have, you're gonna buy them an a manual bike.
When they're really young, probably. When they get older, probably the electric.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, we agree on one thing, which is the Jaylen Brown Paul George trade. We disagree on the fact that he will not buy his kid an electric scooter when they get older. Okay. So, however, we want to thank you for joining 30 Gap today. I'm Nick. This is Jackson. We love you. Have a good night.